Presented the 2022 appropriation bill of 351 billion naira with a promise to complete all ongoing legacy projects and consolidate on other achievements recorded in the past 2.5 years of his administration. Governor Abeokuta stated this while assenting the 2022 budget in his office at Abeokuta. Governor's office correspondent Yusuf Ganeyu reports.
The 2022 appropriation bill, christened Budget of Restoration, was presented to the governor by the Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo, at the State Executive Council Chamber, Governor's Office, Abeokuta, in the presence of the Deputy Governor, Engineer Noimo Salakoyedele, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Akim Balogun, and other members of the State Executive Council and legislators. The budget, with a percentage ratio of 56:44 recurrent to capital expenditure, according to Governor Abeokuta, was designed to implement the vision of the current administration, particularly through its share mantra that will ensure the good people of the Gateway State enjoy the dividends of democracy.
This budget was presented to you on the 30th of November 2021. The budget was christened the Budget of Restoration. Restoration coming from the almost 2 years of the virulent pandemic that surprised not just us in Ogun State, but the entire world. God has continued to allow us to remain standing and standing strong. And standing strong we shall.
Prince Abeokuta also commended the legislature for the doggedness in passing the bill, adding that the cooperation between the legislature and executive resulted to the speedy passage of the budget.
Our Ishaya developmental pillars and programs to make life more abundant and enjoyable for the good people of Adia State. I want to assure all our citizenry that the inputs that they expressed during the 3 different town hall meetings that we had are mostly reflected in this budget. Those that we were not able to capture in this budget have been noted, and they will be rolled over to the next following year's budget.
In his remarks, Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo, said the 2 other economic bills that will aid the Budget of Restoration will be ready for Governor's assent in due course.
We have looked into the budget critically, and because of the tradition of the Ogun State House of Assembly to keep in line with the financial year that runs from January 1 to December 31st of a particular year, we were able to put everything in place. 2 other economic bills that will enhance the implementation of the 2022 budget, the audit bill and the IRS bill, will be ready for your assent, because we believe this government should go into year 2022 in full force and on the right path for progress economically.
The governor thereafter said the budget is very important and symbolic one, saying it will be the last full-year budget of his administration in the first 4 years, adding that his administration will continue to be a promise-keeping administration in the provision of the required infrastructure, security, health, housing, education and transportation, among others. Yusuf Ganeyu, Ogtv News.
Ogun State House of Assembly has passed 2 bills, including the Local Government Amendment Law 2020 and the Ogun State Board of Internal Revenue Law 2021, meant to grant autonomy and reposition the State Board of Internal Revenue Service for improved revenue generation, as well as strengthening the operations of local government administration through improved welfare for the workers. Correspondent Kolawole Osho covered the plenary. Details of the report are presented in this package.
The passage of a bill for a law to provide for the establishment of the Ogun State Board of Internal Revenue Service and Administration, as well as collection of revenue due to the government of the state and for matters related, and a bill for a law to amend the Local Government Law of Ogun State 2006 followed the separate presentations of the reports of the Committee on Finance and Appropriation, as well as that of the Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs by its chairman, Honorable Olakunle Shobukola and Honorable Bolanle Ajayi. Legislators were part of the commitments of the Ninth Assembly at promoting better working conditions towards achieving accountability and transparency in the state revenue generating agency, as well as repositioning the local government councils towards achieving efficiency in service delivery through improved welfare for the workers. Honorable Olakunle Shobukola and Honorable Bolanle Ajayi thereafter moved motions for their adoption, which were seconded by Honorable Ganiu Oyedeji and Honorable Solomon Osho, and supported by the whole House through a voice vote, after which the bills were later read and adopted clause by clause by the Committee of the whole House. Subsequently, the motion for the third reading of the bills was moved by the Majority Leader, Honorable Yusuf Sharif, seconded by the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Akim Balogun, and Honorable Musefiu Lamidi, while the Clerk and Head of Legislative Service, Mr. Diji Adeyemo, took the third reading of the bills before the members.
I hereby order that a clean copy of the Housing Number 258/2020, Local Government Amendment Law 2021, Housing Number 277, OG 2021, the Ogun State Board of Internal Revenue Law 2021, be prepared and forwarded to His Excellency the Governor of Ogun State, Prince Abeokuta for his assent. I so order.
Speaker thereafter adjourned the plenary till January 2022.
The federal government says millions of Nigerians benefited from President Muhammadu Buhari's social investment programs in 2020. Listing the achievements on Thursday, Information Minister Lai Mohammed recalled that on Buhari's directive, the NPower scheme was expanded from 5 to 1 million beneficiaries. The Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, GEP, was also restructured to GEP 2.0. The revamped 2.0, launched on August 24, 2021, has registered over 600,000 potential beneficiaries in all 774 local government areas in partnership with the National Orientation Agency. Mohammed insists the National Homegrown School Feeding Program is growing strong. The program seeks to boost school enrollment and improve the nutrition of primary school pupils while sustaining the impact of agricultural and women entrepreneurs in communities. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency on Wednesday released its COVID-19 vaccination campaign statistics on the most and least vaccinated states in the country. According to the health agency's latest update, Nasarawa made the most of the vaccination efforts with 31.63% of the state's population receiving the COVID-19 jabs. Jigawa came in second with an inoculation percentage of 29.03%, while Ogun State emerged as the most vaccinated state in the southwest with 17.24%. Similarly, Governors Abdullahi Sule, Badaru Abubakar, and Akwa Abiodun were rated among the most performing governors by the agency. However, the commercial capital of the Federation, Lagos, emerged as the 12th most vaccinated state with 7.66% of its over 23 million inhabitants taking the COVID-19 jabs, while the FCT a 4.26% vaccination rate. Imo, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa states were least on the rankings, having vaccinated 1.08%, 0.92%, and 0.69% respectively. The agency noted that Borno and Kano were the current rising stars, having climbed the rankings by 5 and 10 steps in that order in the last 7 days. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus has expressed optimism that COVID-19 pandemic will end in 2022. Ghebreyesus said at a press briefing on Wednesday that it was 2 years ago, as people gathered for New Year's Eve celebrations, that a new global threat emerged. Since then, 1.8 million deaths were recorded in 2020 and 3.5 million in 2021, but the actual number is much higher. There are also millions of people dealing with long-term consequences from the virus. Nurses have been charged to continue steadfastly in the discharge of their duties to humanity, taking cognizance of their oaths and patients' confidentiality. The charge was given by the Ogun State Head of Service, Dr. Nafiu Aigoro, during the end of the year party organized by the Nursing Department of the State Hospital Ijayi to wrap up the year 2021. The celebration, tagged Celebration of Mercy, was attended by Margaret Okunlola, who has the details.
365 days of the year 2021 was wrapped up with fanfare by the Ogun State Hospital Ijayi, Abeokuta, as the Nursing Services Department of the medical outlet converged on its premises for a grand end of the year party. Dr. Nafiu Aigoro identified with the nurses, commending them for the work during the year.
They are very, very important in the health sector. There's no way you can do anything in the health sector without the nurses. So they occupy a very, very vantage position in the health sector. And they have been so cooperative with the doctors, with the pharmacists, physiotherapists. The nurses have been so wonderful, and I just want to beg them to continue the way they've been doing so that we'll continue to have peace here and in Ogun State.
The head of department, Nursing Services, Mrs. Oluremi Musuro, enjoined nurses to continue steadfastly in the discharge of their duties.
Irrespective of the circumstances we find ourselves, we must not forget our Hippocratic oaths, and that is caring for patients and clients. Keeping confidentiality is very, very important.
Goodwill messages were received from dignitaries at the event.
As a pivot in the health industry, that all other professionals will rotate, doctor rotates around the nurse, pharmacy rotates around, every other paramedical they rotate. The nurse is at the center of gravity.
I will implore all of us to please continue to work hard, continue to be good to the patient, continue to save life.
Cultural dance, hand washing competition, and cutting of cake spiced up the occasion. Earlier, the nurses had a glamorous ward round led by the head of the department, Mrs. Oluremi Musuro, to cheer the patients and give hope in the coming year. Margaret Okunlola, Ogtv News.
Still ahead in the news, President Muhammadu Buhari vows to ensure that those indicated by NDDC forensic audit report face the law, plus a new resumption date for public schools in Ogun State. The details and more as we return. You're welcome back. The Ogun State Ministry of Education, Science and Technology has announced a change in the resumption date for the second term 2021-2022 academic session for all primary and secondary schools, as well as government science and technical colleges in the state. The new resumption date is now Monday, 10th of January 2022. In a statement by the Commissioner in the Ministry, Professor Abeokuta, the change is necessitated by the series of pre-resumption activities lined up by the Ministry to further reposition schools in the state. The statement adds that as part of resumption guidelines, each parent and guardian and learners are expected between Tuesday 4th and Monday 10th January 2022 to sign an undertaking of willingness to abide by laid down rules and support the school in ensuring and enforcing discipline. Parents, guardians, and all school administrators are therefore enjoined to note the new resumption date while awaiting details of other pre-resumption activities. President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed to ensure that every kobo mismanaged or diverted during what he called the serial abuse of the Niger Delta Development Commission is recovered for use in serving the people of the region. Inaugurating the NDDC prototype hostel at the University of Uyo virtually, the president also said all persons found culpable shall face the law.
This ultra-modern complex, built and donated to the University of Uyo by NDDC, renews our confidence that the forensic audit, which has been completed and currently being reviewed for necessary action, had achieved one of its core objectives.
The core objective of the forensic audit, President Muhammadu Buhari said, is to rebuild the NDDC into an agency that is well equipped and better placed to facilitate sustainable development in a transparent and impactful way.
In the NDDC, we recognize that this outlay of resources must be justified, and this can be done only with verifiable projects, prudently and efficiently implemented, which will improve the living standards of the people. It is critical that not only I, but the people begin to rekindle our trust in this critical institution, which plays an important role in developing this region.
The well-furnished university prototype hostel consists of 1,050 bed spaces, 525 each for male and female. It can also boost significant arts and sports infrastructure to ensuring sustainability and durability.
It's therefore another important proof that this administration is committed to satisfying the needs of the people throughout Nigeria and fulfilling their expectations. Governments must continue in its efforts to serve the people by providing amenities as well as an enabling environment for scholarships, investments across all sectors for sustenance of the environment and the overall growth of the economy.
The NDDC, President Buhari said, needs to continually demonstrate that it can achieve the objective it was conceived for and make the impact felt across the Niger Delta.
Delta could be so much better if the funding received by this commission since its inception in billions of naira over the last 20 years have been judicially deployed in service of the people. The serial abuse, lack of delivery, and what had become an entrenched institutional decay was the reason why I called for the forensic audit.
The president then charged the management of the University of Uyo to ensure that the hostel block is properly maintained for the benefit of the current students as well as those who will come after. The Presidential Artisanal Gold Mining Development Initiative team met President Muhammadu Buhari. The steering committee provided an update on the work done since the committee was inaugurated. Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development, Uchechukwu Oga, and Executive Secretary, Solid Mineral Development Fund, Fatima Shinkafi, submitted the report. In a statement, Oga announced that the committee presented the Responsible Gold Mining Framework and Guidance document. It aims to help PAGMI and companies improve and manage their gold sourcing as well as the environment, economic, social, and governance performance. Oga says the plan will ensure a transparent gold supply chain, respect for the environment, while combating money laundering, terrorist financing, and human rights abuses. President Muhammadu Buhari this Thursday received in audience former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Governor of Abia State, Victor Okezie-Ikpeazu, also came calling. The former Nigerian leader is visiting President Muhammadu Buhari in the last 3 months. Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is currently the special envoy and mediator of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to Mali. ECOWAS has, in 60 years old of ordinary session of authority, heads of state and government vowed to impose additional financial sanctions on Mali if by the end of the month no concrete progress is made in preparation for elections. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has been leading mediation talks to Malian authorities and is here to perhaps brief President Muhammadu Buhari on his efforts safeguarding democratic order in the West African nation. Details of their meeting, held behind closed doors for about 30 minutes, was not made public. Meanwhile, the president also granted audience to the governor of Abia State, Okezie-Ikpeazu. The meeting, similarly held behind closed doors, centered on development in the God's own state and indeed the southeast region.
Which, to my mind, is to create a gateway to the outside world from Enugu. That is one. Two, everybody knows about the second Niger bridge. That has never been done before, and we think that we need to encourage the president to complete that project quickly within his time and hand it over to our people. If you experience the logjam at the Onitsha Head Bridge and how it impacts negatively on the economy of Anambra and Delta and the entire Southeast, then you'll be able to project into what it will tell, assuming we have that bridge in place.
Also briefed the president current situation about Eyimba's economic city and futuristic projects generally founded by the federal and state governments as well as private.
Of Nigeria to play strong in the Continental Free Trade Agreement in Africa. It is also the hope for Nigeria to provide 625,000 jobs for our teeming youths. Our desire is to ensure that sometime next year, very soon, we'll be able to invite Mr. President to come and do the groundbreaking for that transgenerational project as one of his legacies in government. And there's a law from the Abia State House of Assembly endorsed by my humble self, which gives it that quasi-independence and autonomy to operate. And there are interests within and outside Nigeria also on that project. I would want to say that the best thing for us to do is to wait at the dining table. We are in the kitchen now. The food will be ready very soon.
Governor Ikpeazu made a case for Nigerians to give the necessary support to the president in his genuine efforts at bequeathing enduring legacies for posterity. 3 drug traffickers wearing uniforms of security agencies to escape scrutiny have been arrested by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, with over 427 kilograms of illicit drugs in Borno State and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, while Yakubu Kotri, impersonating as a military personnel, was arrested on Wednesday, 29th December, driving a golf car loaded with cannabis sativa weighing 208 kilograms on his way to Bama, Borno State. Another suspect, Salisu Mohammed, who had donned the uniform of another security agency to traffic tramadol to Bama, was also nabbed by narcotic officers on patrol on the same day. In the same vein, another impersonator, Dada Adekunle, was on Wednesday arrested along with a 60-year-old accomplice, Usman Issa, in Abaji area of the Federal Capital Territory with 53 kilograms of cannabis, while 20 kilograms of the same drug was seized from Alfred Aminu, who was intercepted at Gwagwalada same day. The Court of Appeal headquarters in Abuja on Thursday locked out workers who showed up late for work. The decision, it was learned, was sequel to a directive by the President of the Court, Justice Monica Dongban-Mensem. The report stated that rather than resume at 8 a.m., many of the workers who were still on a holiday mood strolled in at 10 a.m., while some others are believed to have traveled to their hometowns without permission. Justice Dongban-Mensem was said to have ordered that all those who came late be locked out, while those present were to sign an attendance register. Those absent will be issued queries. Death penalty for child rapists as prescribed by the Child Protection Law has been enacted by the Jigawa State government. With the law, anyone convicted of raping a child below the age of 10 will be sentenced to death with no other option available. This was disclosed by the State Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General Dr. Musa Adamu at a press briefing in Dutse, the state capital. According to the Commissioner, the ministry had received a total number of 196 case diaries, while 178 pieces of legal advice were prepared in respect of the case diaries received. The Commissioner used the opportunity to call for the use of technology to reduce the delay in criminal litigation, which he says is one of the major challenges the judiciary is facing in this state. You're watching Ogtv News. Up next is Business News with Simia Tabaru.
News tonight. The relaxation of travel restrictions occasioned by the COVID and increased economic activities during the year drove recovery in the aviation sector in the first 9 months of 2021. A recent report on the aviation industry disclosed that airlines and other allied companies contribute to most of the sector. Between January and September this year, output in the aviation sector rose to 146.6 billion naira from 114.2 billion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2020. The federal government's bond offer and allotment rose by 1.99 trillion naira in the first 6 months of this year to 13.66 trillion naira from the 11.67 trillion naira recorded in the corresponding period of last year. The Financial Market Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria disclosed this in its half-year activity report for 2021. It attributed the rise to government's drive to fund fiscal deficit from the domestic market. In a related development, the cost of domestic debt service of the federal government stood at 977.03 billion naira at the end of June 2021, representing an increase of 8.75% compared to 898.39 billion naira at the end of June 2020. This was disclosed by the Financial Market Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria in its half-year activity report for 2021. The federal government domestic debt stock outstanding witnessed an upward trend in the first half of 2021 compared with the corresponding period of 2020. As a result, the cost of debt service increased by 8.7%, owing to the increase in federal government borrowings to augment its revenue shortfall. The fate of an estimated 11 million mobile telephone subscribers currently hangs on the balance as the December 31 deadline for the national identity number and the subscriber identity model verification exercise approaches, with the federal government's silence on any further extension. This is coming on the heels of insecurity remaining a cog in the wheel of progress, as many rural communities still under terrorist and bandit siege and dreaded by officials handling the enrollment exercise. Going by industry records, only 180 million SIMs have been linked to NINs as of October. a likelihood of an extension if millions of subscribers are not to be left out of mobile telephony. Meanwhile, delegation from the Congo-Brazzaville Telecommunications Regulations Authority, CTRA, has visited the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, on a benchmarking tour that would enable them to understudy the successes of the Nigerian telecoms market. The delegation from the Central African nation purposively paid a scheduled visit to NCC, essentially to understudy its policies, practices and programs that have made it a model telecommunications regulatory authority on the continent and beyond. The Congolese team, led by CTRA's network director Benjamin Wadwaza, spent 3 days at the NCC head office in Abuja, where they were exposed to key result-oriented regulatory activities, frameworks, programs and policies of NCC, with the objective to explore how such operational frameworks could be adapted by the African nation, noted for its huge rainforest reserves. And finally, in the power sector, the number of metered customers has increased by 17.7% to 4,774,906 in September 2021, from 4,053,403 recorded in the corresponding period of 2020, according to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC. In its key operational and financial data of Nigeria electricity supply industry, NESI release, NEC disclosed that the number of registered customers also increased by 19% to 12,784,685 from 10,733,509 recorded in the corresponding period of 2020. But there were indications that more Nigerians still live without prepaid meters, as the nation's metering gap rose by 20% to 8,011,779 in September from 6,680,106 in the corresponding period of 2020, probably due to the registration of new customers. And that's the end of the business news tonight. Many thanks for watching. Back to Tunji for other segment of the news.